Alrighty then. So here we have another battle in Shogun 2 on the rice fields. And we're going to start off with establishing this is a 2v2 battle between myself and 3 other guys. Just randomly popped up. We set a rule beforehand saying no artillery. But otherwise I've got 4 Shogunate infantry here. My Tosa riflemen on the left flank. My chargers, some Yariki, rank 6, and my other chargers rank 6 on the other flank. These Shogunate guard cav and these imperial guard cav, and I got the same thing over here. Then I have 2 red bear infantry, level 3 each, one here, one on the right, my infantry de marine on the left, and my United States Marines on the right. Then I have 2 Yarikachi. Then on this other end, my ally, he has white bear infantry and a whole slew of red bears. And he has some Yariki on either side. And his Tosa rifleman. And on the opponent's front, he has his infantry, the marine, his royal marines, black bears, and Shogunate guard infantry. And more red bears just lined up here. And here my opponent has a bunch of imperial infantry, 9 units of those, 2 Yarikachi, 2 Tosa riflemen, or I think he has like 4 of them, but they're hidden somewhere in there, and 4 Yariki. So let's start up this battle. And it'll be interesting to note that, again, there's no key buildings. So there's nothing to really fight over here in the middle, which to me seems like the reason why my opponent here, they wanted no artillery, because they didn't want to, they wanted to probably camp back here, but they didn't want to get like shelled by artillery, which is a cheeky sort of tactic. So you can see here he's bringing out his Tosa riflemen, trying to get them to make up a line of fire, which is basically suicide to walk into. Here my ally is sending out his Yariki, trying to skirmish, but the opponents just set up a line of infantry, and that's just a wall of death at this point. He is, however, moving his Tosa rifleman up. Here he has his other second Tosa rifleman. And what's interesting is they can actually hide in this these rice fields, the scrub, which is a good way to harass the opponent, especially when they form a line like this. You can just sit there in the scrub and remain hidden as your Tosa rifleman continue fire. Although I don't think he's actually using this as cover, because of the fact that these few men over here, oh no, yeah, they are, they're hiding. So these guys are hidden. These guys are hidden now. Oh, there goes the first shot. Yeah, these guys, these red bears are just dropping. But they're gonna return fire soon enough. Now it must be a surprise seeing like all of these Tosa riflemen, these hidden men, just firing at you, and there's no way to get at them unless you're close enough to actually spot them. But here my infantry has formed a line as well. I have my Tosa riflemen hidden in this forest, and I'm forming up my cav on the left flank, trying to fend off his cav, my opponent's cav. And here's more line infantry skirmishes, not really skirmishes, more like the Tosa riflemen taking pot shots. But my opponent's just sitting here, happily, willing to wait. And I guess that moment my ally turned his Tosas. He allowed the enemy Tosas to get close enough to fire at him. So now he's going to pull back, recoiling at the fact that he lost a quarter of his unit in that one volley. Just look at all of them. This poor man. So clearly here, these Tosa riflemen outrange almost all of these infantry, but they seem to refuse to engage. Here's something cheeky, kind of missed it, but my Imperial Guard infantry were just firing, and they just released a few volleys into the Yariki. And here my Tosa riflemen are firing into the Yariki as they retreat. But now we're gonna have another sort of stalemate. I'm moving my Yariki up, or not my Yariki, my Yarikachi into position, trying to dissuade off any cavalry charges, although they seem pretty well dissuaded by now. Now I'm gonna continue to be cheeky over here and send these guys in to essentially fire at that unit again. Using, I guess my opponent thinks that he has a clear line of sight, but in actuality there's a slight dip in this hill, which allows my cavalry to just go around on their merry way and shoot up his Yari. Key. And over here we have a line infantry battle. His red bears are firing into the opponent's black bears, and his Tosa riflemen come to support. But now the opponent's Tosa riflemen are firing back. So now we have a line battle. The opponent's Tosa riflemen are firing, and here I have my infantry and marine firing at the opponent's Tosas, trying to limit their effectiveness using the forest for cover. Now here my ally isn't really using very much cover. He's kind of just out in the open, getting shot up. And as it happens, this Imperial Guard Cav that I was using managed to kill one of his Yarikachi, or not Yarikachi, Yariki units. God, keep getting those mixed up. But it routed and fled, so now I'm just gonna pull out, seeing that his infantry are moving in. So let's go back to this line infantry battle. It's not looking good for this guy. His white bears are just getting completely outgunned by the amount of men that are on this side. And his Tosa riflemen can't seem to be getting a break, but here comes the Yariki from the opponent. Let's watch them as they charge into the opponent's Tosa riflemen, but also get a huge shot in the face from the line infantry. Now, I don't know if this will, yeah, this looks like it's shattering them. Yeah, they're just gonna run from that charge. Even though the Yariki are gonna die, they still lost the Tosa rifleman unit, which is not so good. Here the red bears are being shot at, and here I'm moving my own red bears to engage the Tosa riflemen, take them out, so they can limit the range advantage they have. The Tosa riflemen, the opponent's Tosa riflemen are basically dead at this point, but we gotta keep pushing. There's essentially a big crack here in the middle for the opponents, and they want to patch this hole up as fast as they can. But now my infantry and marine have switched targets to the other opponent's Tosa riflemen, trying to shoot at them since they're not making good advantage of this forest they could use for cover. In the meantime, I'm looking to push up with my, where are they? These are my Shogunate infantry, these are my red bears. So I'm going to try to push up, see if I can catch these Tosa riflemen. My opponent, or my two opponents, don't seem to be wanting to budge at all, and my ally is ferociously pushing up. Not much action has happened on this flank, but everything's happening here in the middle. So there goes his two Tosa riflemen, they just get shattered. And I think that's all of the Tosa, or except for one Tosa rifleman on the flank over here. So now it just becomes a line infantry battle. And here his Tosa riflemen are firing at this unit, but they're gonna get spotted soon. Look at that, they just received shots. Here the cavalry are coming into the Tosa line, And his cavalry, my allies' cavalry, are coming in to try to save the day, but it might be too late. Oh no, I guess he's just gonna go straight into the opponent's infantry, try to shatter that. This is not looking good for my ally. Well, it kinda is. Horses are just charging straight forward, cutting through the infantry lines, but it's just a massive bloodbath here. Shots fired back and forth. Here the cav are trying to charge into this back line of infantry, trying to disrupt them. And the other cav are charging in. And successfully so, they managed to break this unit. But not before breaking themselves. And here the remaining cav just flee, and the Shogunate guard infantry have fled. But now it comes down to this. My opponent is charging up forward. My ally is responding with volleys. He's kind of in a bad position per se, because he put his units inside of the slight trench that is the road. Which, as we know in Shogun 2 Fall of Samurai, plays a huge role in visibility. Visibility is something that causes the units to either fire or not fire at all. He's trying to move his infantry, the marine, back into position, trying to get them to fire. And here he has his United States Marines firing at Shogunate guard infantry. And it's just becoming a huge cross trade of bullets. Just look at that. Ridiculous. Infantry firing back at infantry. It's just like walls of death. No one wants to be running through the middle of this. But here infantry are starting to break because of the morale. One of his Yariki is actually returning from having routed but not been successfully chased off. Or from shattering but not having been routed. These guys are running, although they should turn around or stop at least and turn around and shoot, but it might be too late for them. The toasted riflemen are going to get it in the back because of this. My ally's general isn't really offering much right now. He's not firing, but that's it for the toasted riflemen. They're going to rout. Here the rest of his infantry are going to try to fight it off with these guys. But it seems rather hopeless now. In the meantime, after that battle has happened, I have sent my whole melee cavalry force in to engage the opponent's cavalry force. And here's where it's going to start turning into a massive charge. My cavalry are busting into his last Tosa riflemen, trying to find solace. Here my imperial infantry are moving up to engage, or my Shogunate infantry are moving up to engage his imperial infantry. My Tosa riflemen are firing off, and my Shogunate infantry continue to fire. Meanwhile, my infantry, the marine, and another Shogunate infantry unit are going to sit there in the forest. And it's all going down here. My general is going to get into the mix. All my cavalry units are going to get into the mix. There's a Yarikachi in here. My Yarikachi are going to get at the Imperial Infantry, and the other Yarikachi can get the Imperial Infantry. And here, the opponent's second Yarikachi is going to get at it. And now, because of that engagement over there, my general actually died. But here my cavalry are going to go chasing down the enemy's general. But to no avail, since he seems to be outrunning us, so we're going to start turning soon and charge into this line of the Imperial Infantry, which are just firing at us at our backs. This end, however, the Yarikachi here is routing. Everything else is routing on this end. And it's just becoming a bloodbath over here as my infantry start to clean up. Now my Tosa riflemen are abusing the ever-living hell out of their nice little position. But here's something curious. I guess they got stuck on firing at some opponent. So they're gonna start walking out of the forest, which is not good at all. That just makes them a clear target. But now that my cavalry came back and just routed the remaining forces in this forest has been cleared up, and now infantry are just gonna start pouring out of there. Meanwhile, I just want to clean up whatever's routing, just get rid of it now, so it doesn't have a chance to come back and ruin me later. I'm gonna keep my Shogunate infantry in a line battle against his Shogunate guard and Red Bears. Both my opponents have their generals up. They're just sitting here, trying to keep morale steady. I have lost my general at this point, so there's not much I can do except continue to wait. I think at this point my infantry and marine have effectively run out of bullets, so they are not firing back because of it. Here this Shogunate infantry is starting to break, so I'm going to pull them back. I'm going to move my other two Shogunate infantry units up forward, trying to match the battle line, and it's not looking good, for me at least. According to balance power, they have more units available to them than I do. But for some reason they're going to start pulling back. I guess they don't want to get into the fight with the rest of my infantry. Now, most of this army is the remains of my ally's opponent. And few bits of it are from my actual opponent, General Worthington, whatever his name was. I guess General Worthington was just happy to sit in this forest, but as soon as I came crashing down on him, he just evacuated. So I guess this is what remains of his force. He has 2 Imperial infantry, each at a quarter health, a Yarikachi at about half health, maybe like 3/8 health, I guess, and his general, which is almost at half health. Otherwise, my opponent, Starkey, has a good mass of infantry here, and my ally has actually been effectively removed off of this battlefield by now. So now I have to essentially 1v2, although I wouldn't really call it a 1v2 per se, since the opponents are both heavily injured. Or, well, not heavily, but at least injured. Worthington is actually on his last limbs. He might as well be vanquished soon enough. But here I'm moving my 4 cavalry units and my Imperial Guard cav to see if I can clean up this force. And we can see that the battlefield, even though here down the middle was where all the action was going, all the bodies have mysteriously vanished, and that's one of the unfortunate things of bodies just disappearing because of memory requirements. But otherwise this whole field would be littered with dead. Now here I see Starkey moving basically up and around, so I move my infantry back in response, and now I have my Imperial Guard cav moving in, firing at the flank of these guys as they try to turn, and his Red Bears actually fire at my cavalry, so I'm just gonna go straight forward and charge. Might as well. He's actually gonna send his general in to try to recover, and I'm gonna try to disengage, or at least fire at his general. So there go my cavalry. They just shattered the last remaining man in that Red Bear. And here my Imperial Guard actually managed to kill his general. Yeah, there it is. That guy who just fell there, that was his general. And I guess the death of their general right in front of their eyes causes Yarikachi to just panic, because they're just gonna shatter and rout. So that essentially deals with Wellington, or Worthington. He's out of this battle. But I still have to deal with Starkey. Starkey's a problem. Okay, sorry about that. Had a little brief moment of interlude. Okay, so we have this sort of I guess another line engagement trying to happen here. I'm currently moving my whole infantry, or not my infantry, but my cavalry force around him, trying to get a flank off. And he's aware of this, so he's lining up his infantry. I'm trying to hold off here in the forest, you know, trying to press the fact that I have less infantry available to fight with than he does. But here's where it's gonna get a little bit, I guess, campy. He sees me camping here in the forest, just waiting for him to push at me and to accuse me of camping. But he's gonna do almost the exact same thing. Now, I have my cavalry force here, my Imperial Guard cavalry hanging out over there. I'm gonna move my Yarikachi out through the back, try to move them in a flanking sort of maneuver, basically around this small hill, which is where I had originally abused that one little Yariki unit. And here we're gonna have my Tosa riflemen. I think these are my Tosa riflemen. Yeah, they're gonna fire a volley off. Just fire at these guys since they can see them and they're running around. Might as well. So meanwhile, my Yari cav are just gonna sit here with my Shogunate cav, and then my Imperial Guard are just gonna sit around waiting. And he's gonna have his Royal Marines, his Shogunate Guard, and his Black Bears all facing me, while his Red Bears and these Shogunate infantry face my main infantry force. And these infantry and marine are also facing. Surprisingly, these Tosa riflemen and the Red Bear are facing me as well. And here's something cheeky that I caught. I was pretty sure that he has a commander with the gun enabled, and yeah, he does. He has the little gun mark here on his flag. So I think he's gonna try and snipe out my Kachi. Just run up to them, fire at them, and then run away. So I immediately start pulling these guys back into this forest as cover, while my Imperial Guard cav move around trying to get over here to support. Now, he sees my Kachi moving back, so takes his time to march forward, and I stop my Guard cav here, get them ready. Since his commander is moving in to intercept, we're just gonna have a little fire off. And there we go. That's gonna kill a couple of his men, send them recoiling. Unfortunately, I didn't snipe the general without those. Well, it was more like just one volley. But I'm gonna disengage before these Tosa riflemen are in range to fire at me again. Meanwhile, again, my opponent says that I'm just being a camper here, but realistically he has a numeric advantage and he could press me for an attack at any time. But instead, he chooses to get himself essentially surrounded. There's only two ways he can run, is just straight into this wall, or straight into the open field. And instead of doing either of those two, he decides to just wait for a bit, trying to figure out the best discourse for action. And he's aware that I have my 4 cav units sitting here in this forest. He's aware that I have my infantry in this forest. He's aware of everything. So he's gonna make a choice soon enough of what he wants to do. Does he want to continue sitting here, calling me out in chat, telling me that I'm a camper, or does he want to press the attack? And that's one of those things in Shogun 2 is whoever walks into the opponent's firing lines first essentially loses the infantry battle. So if he walks directly into my infantry, he'll lose almost instantly. But here's where his decision finally comes through. He decides he's going to just charge towards my cavalry. Because if he charges towards my cavalry, he knows that they won't shoot back at him, they'll just try to charge him. And he's hoping that perhaps he'll be able to catch my cavalry. But here's something weird that I see him do. It's that he's turning his infantry lines at the same time, and causing them to form up into these strange, like, formations, which to me, despite the fact that I lose my guard infantry here because I wasn't paying attention to the Tosa riflemen and stuff, I'm gonna see this as a prime opportunity, seize general here, and go for it. Start moving my cavalry and charge them in. In the meantime, these guys are just gonna start moving because I have nothing else to do, and just charge in, crushing the Shogunate infantry and then attacking the general. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna start engaging as many infantry units as I can with whatever I have left. So here the general falls because of that action, and these cavalry are gonna engage infantry and marine, and then the Royal Marines can kill them off. Or not the Royal Marines, they're not gonna die. They're far too sturdy. What I'm actually gonna do is look at these guys, see that they're not breaking, disengage, and then move back to charge at this infantry line, or this infantry force. And they're just gonna, instead of waver, they're gonna recover pretty soon. And here I'm gonna break, I think, these 2 infantry units. Yeah, this is just going to be a huge mess of cavalry. But luckily for me, I managed to break 2 infantry units as well there. And there goes my cav. Now I'm going to charge my whole force out of the forest and start chasing after these guys. His Shogunate infantry are wavering, and his Red Bears are confident, but they're still tired. And his Royal Marines are winded but steady. Now, throughout this whole time that I'm chasing him down, he's calling me a cheater, saying that what I just did was essentially hacking the game. And he still has this, like, regiment of Red Bears and the Tosa Riflemen. But because he's so heated about the fact that I just killed his general and a huge portion of his men, he's just gonna continuously spam in the chat and try to run away from me, try to kite me, essentially. And I'm just not gonna have it. I'm gonna continue chasing him all the way through to the back of this, to the edge of the map, essentially. and I guess we'll just watch as he runs and runs. I guess this would be a great time to have a montage, but his men are just running away, running and running, and my men are in hot pursuit. Look at these guys. And he knows that he's gonna run out of running space soon enough, long before my men get tired. These guys are basically biting at the heels. But there goes down one man. And then they stop to celebrate the death of that one guy, but now they chase again, looking to catch these guys. And then my Yarikachi actually catch the red bear who were firing at them, which sends them into a scary panic as they try to reform somewhere else. Meanwhile, my infantry, my main force of infantry, is still running across the fields. And this other portion of infantry is just running along. But look at this, just running through the forest, trying so desperately to outrun my men. And it's succeeding for the most part. He's not getting caught, but he's not firing back, which doesn't lead to my men routing. All the while, he still has these two units just sitting there doing nothing. And here his infantry are going to start wavering. But they're going to stop running for once, and it's going to be an engagement here with my Yarikachi. This is Royal Marines. I'm in the forest. And then my infantry finally catch up, put a few shots down, and they all start running. And yeah, there goes those three units are dead. So now finally that those units are dead, he decides to move his Tosa riflemen and his red bears, try to get a fight off. But at this point I have all the infantry. I've essentially won this battle. There's little he can do to actually stop me from just mowing down his two units. So I start organizing my men, trying to get them into a formation so they can just finally walk up and start shooting. Mostly waiting for my Yarikachi, which are so tired from all that running across the field. I'm just gonna have them march instead of jog along. These guys are just gonna sit there for a bit, recovering their stamina. And he's gonna form up into a line here. And I guess he didn't get the memo about the hiding, or what do you call it, the visibility. Because I'm gonna march up some infantry, and he's still not in a hidden position. Even though it looks like he's in the forest, he's actually not. And you can just tell by the fact that the infantry haven't taken that crouching position. So they're just gonna eat a bunch of volleys from the Tosa riflemen and now the Shogunate infantry, which are coming in. And it's just gonna come down to a straight up line battle here. The line battle is gonna happen, and it's just gonna end in the death of these guys over here. He's gonna try to reform, but these guys are just gonna crack and run away. Now, it looks like there's nothing left, but there is actually that one infantry unit here, but he might as well just shatter now as my men start pouring out. And yeah, that's it. it was the end of that battle. And now looking at the final results, we'll see how we did. I ended up getting 3.2k kills, just about. My ally only getting 1.6. General Worthington only 1.3. And Starkey with 2k, 2.7k. Overall, I think that was a very, very good trade for me. Very, very good battle. Some very conscious trades there. These Imperial Guard Infantry, one of my mounted gunner cap, 329 kills. My infantry, the Marines, shot until they ran out of ammo, and it shows they got 460 kills. It was an amazing battle. GG to those guys.